Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Man Overboard podcast. Today, we're joined by Rob Pyke, a local ghost hunter. He's done many ghost hunts for charity and explored many haunted areas around Leeds. Welcome, Rob. My main question is, to start this off, what originally motivated you to start looking into like the paranormal world and ghost hunting and things along those lines?
Hi, Joe. Hi, Tim. So, started from an early age. I would have been about, this is going to take a good few minutes or so, would have been when I was about 7, 8, 9 years old, there or thereabouts. I used to go fishing a lot with my dad, okay? We used to live in Staffordshire at the time, on the edge of Cannock Chase. We used to go to the River Severn, go fishing most weekends. And I remember one weekend, we were down fishing, down the bank, down by the riverside, and a police car turned up on the road. And the police officer shouted for my dad to come up and speak to him, which he did. Me and my brother were down by the riverside carrying on fishing, looking a little bit confused about what was going on. Anyway, me dad turned away from the police officer in absolute floods of tears. Now, this was me dad. My dad never cried. You know what I mean? He was one of those dads. He just didn't cry. To see him crying was just beyond belief. You know, I thought something bad's really happened here. Anyway, turned out that me dad's mum had just passed away. My dad was really close to his mum. Anyway, that was that. Cut a long story short, over the period of the next, I'd say 12 months or so, this had never happened previously either, but I would wake up in my bed in the middle of the night, and this is going to sound funny, but believe you me, at the time it wasn't, with an almighty slap across my face.
Wow.
Even to the point where the sound of the slap woke me up, and the fact when I woke up, my cheek was burning.
Oh, God.
Like, not red hot burning, but burning after a bloody good hard slap, you know. And the smell of my nan's talc in the room, which went like that, but it was there. I would wake up screaming the house down, "Mum, Dad, come and rescue me." Dad would come through, they'd look under the bed for the monster, they'd look in the closet for the monster, and so on, and that was that. Like I say, it had never happened previously. Now, why the slap? Why my nana hated me as much as what she did to give me a bloody good slap in the middle of the night and poop myself? Anyway, many, many years later, about 15 odd years later, my dad said to me that after his mother had passed, he did see her a few times stood at the end of my parents' bed. And my dad would wake up, and as his eyes cleared, he could see his mum stood at the end of the bed. That was my first encounter with the paranormal, the unknown, the unusual. I couldn't explain it. Whether it was night terrors or not, I don't know. And I'm going to be honest with you both, I'll always look for a logical explanation. Even now, today, when we go investigating, it could be a car outside, it could be lights, you know, it could be anything at all. Not everything is paranormal, but 1% tops is paranormal. Simple as that. Yeah, that was that. Happened for about 12 months or so. What it was, whether it was me nana paying me a unruly slap across the face visit in the middle of the night or not, I have absolutely no idea. But the fact that my dad corroborated him seeing his mother stood at the end of the bed, that was my first experience about what is all this? What is this sorcery that goes on in the world, you know? And that was 7, 8 years old. 10 years later, so was my next experience, and so on and so on.
I think one of the creepiest things about that is the fact that it wasn't just you who had that experience in the house.
Yeah.
Like the fact that there was two people that had a very similar experience obviously makes it much more real in your head. Even if you try to like disprove it to yourself, it makes it a lot easier to believe if there's two people there.
Exactly.
And I imagine at the time as well that your father was probably thinking it's probably best not to disclose that he's also seeing it at the same time.
To prevent undue panic.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah,
Further terror.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, definitely. This may seem like quite a broad question, but we're just looking to see what your interpretation on it would be, and on your opinion on what ghosts are, where they come from, in general? What do you think of the paranormal as a whole? I know it's quite a open-ended question, so to speak.
That's actually a really easy question to answer.
Okay.
What is a ghost? Good question. Let's look at it at a scientific point of view, and I'm not going to go all geekery because I do not have a GCSE in science by any means. But one thing that is undisputed is we all have energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, energy, as we know, science says this, energy cannot be destroyed. So when we die, where does that energy go? Nobody knows. Mm-hmm. Nobody has a clue where the energy goes. Whether the energy... There is a theory, it's called what's called stone tape theory, okay? Whether the energy goes into the fabric of where you are at the time, whether it goes into the walls, the wood, the furniture, this cup, I don't know. Look at, for those who might remember, I'm hoping you guys might remember, cassettes, videotapes, you know, that tape there. That tape is just full of energy. You play back the energy on the tape that's been put onto that tape. Similar to any other energy, where it goes to, like I say, nobody knows. And that's what's called stone tape theory. Whether there's anything to it or not, that's not down to me to say, you know. But it's just one thought, it's just one idea of where our energy goes when we pass away, because it's got to go somewhere.
Definitely. Yeah.
Can't be destroyed.
That's it, yeah.
Now, I don't know whether or not you've heard of the Roman soldier ghost story in York.
I'm not sure I have. I've done a ghost walk in York before, but it was many years ago, so I've probably forgotten it by now.
I know a chap called Richard Felix who used to be on Most Haunted during the early years. Richard knew a chap who worked in York, a builder, I think he was, or a caretaker, something like that. Anyway, he was doing some work, and he stopped when he heard a sound the other side of the wall where he was working on, and he looked down, and there was a complete Roman garrison walking through the building where he was working. Only from the knees up, but just walked through. They didn't pay him the blindest bit of attention. They just carried on walking all the way through. Horses, men, remember spears, pikes, whatever you want to call them. And then they just disappeared through into the following wall. Turned out there was an old Roman road underneath the building where he was working. And the fact that the Roman road was below where the floor was, that's the knee height thing. You know what I mean? Now, was that a recording of something that happened that he was seeing at the time? The energy, the stone tape theory,
yeah.
Which makes you think what happened to that Roman garrison for all of that energy then to suddenly reappear hundreds of years later. It's just a theory.
No, but that's it. I do enjoy that theory, though. I think it's something that I haven't really heard of the stone tape theory before, but I think it is. I like that theory. I do like that. Yeah, it's quite good. It makes you think about it in quite a different light to how you might perceive it initially.
Now that is a witness account as well of something that person saw. So that's a credible witness account of something that they've seen for that entire Roman garrison to walk through. People sometimes refer to a white lady, a grey lady at properties that they've seen. Is that another recording of something that she did at the time and she passed away?
It's spooky as well because there's loads of things, like York is quite renowned for like haunted stories and ghost sightings and stuff. And to me, it kind of baffles me sometimes how many people have actually had like an experience with some kind of like paranormal entity or a ghost, etc. I don't think people realise it is really common. Like I'd say, I have no stats on this, but I'd say probably at least 10% of the world would claim that they've had one type of experience somewhere or another.
I get it all the time. People find out what I do in my out of hours time. And there's a percentage of people that say, what a complete load of rubbish, what you do. You know what I mean? Don't believe in that. It's rubbish. However, I remember when I was a kid, and you always get the follow-up. I remember when I was and as kids, here's another one. You tend to find a lot of people at a younger age would have had a paranormal experience. Kids are a lot more open to unusual, paranormal, whatever you want to call it, okay? Because they've got no barriers. As adults, as grown-up, responsible people as what we are, we have those emotional walls that we can put up. We have those barriers that we can put up to prevent us being hurt, to prevent us being scared. We can put up those barriers, yeah? Kids don't have that. and spirits know that, and they'll affect younger people or at a younger age. If you've got those barriers up now as adults, spirits probably won't be able to get through, and unless you open yourself up, and that's what we do on our investigations.
And then also in the same regard, you've also got like you were saying, logic and such coming into play as you get older. As a child, again, anything that happens, you think,
Exactly.
well, here's this crazy situation. As you're older, you go, oh, it was probably the lights, or it was the cat outside, or something like that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good time for me to tell this story. So in this exact house, actually, which I don't want to creep you out for the rest of the episode, but when I was younger, I believe I saw something in this house. So I must have been about like 8 or 9, and I had like a little party going on. There was like a few of my friends around. I think it might have been my birthday or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. And as you go upstairs, there's like a banister where we usually like dry clothes or towels, etc. And I just remember like walking up the stairs and seeing some like legs under one of the towels. And when I walked around the corner, there was like a girl there, like a little girl, which sounds very stereotypical. But the strangest thing about it was the like little girl kind of like stood up, looked in my direction, but not at me. Just kind of like looked down the hallway and then just walked into the room, like down the hallway, and that was it. And like, I remember being that scared that there was some of my friends in the room, and I like just went in and sat down, and I couldn't even speak for like half an hour. And I've told this story a million times to all my friends, and I used to be that afraid of like whatever I thought was in this house, and I'd like watch horror films and scare myself and stuff, that I didn't sleep here for like years by myself. Like I was actually that afraid. I always used to sleep at my dad's. Like I'd come round, and then when it came to bedtime, I'd have to go to my dad's house because I just couldn't deal with it. I'm kind of over it now. I feel like for years I've like questioned myself if I imagined it. And then when I was about 14 or 15, similar to you, my dad turned around and went, no, I actually saw exactly the same thing, but in a different room in the house. Like he actually saw it in here, which is a bit scary in itself. And then again, about a year after that, because my grandparents owned this house before my parents bought it, my grandma said that she saw exactly the same thing, but just stood at the bottom of the cellar steps. But no one told me for years because they didn't want me to be more scared and for me to actually believe that what I saw was real. But yeah, that's just a really creepy one from this house that's always like weirded me out. I don't even really think about it anymore. But like I've had friends, like obviously it could be anything. It's a really old house. I've had friends come stay over and say they've heard creepy noises in the night or thought they've seen someone like walk past one of the doorways when they've been going to sleep and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just a scary one.
Can I throw something back to you guys if that's okay?
Yeah,
I'm going to pick up on a few keywords. Creepy, scared, keyword that I've used, terrified as opposed to an extent as well. Let me put it this way to try and explain what a ghost is. If a ghost had a job, it wouldn't be there to scare people. Simple as that. At the time, we all have that fear of the unknown.
Definitely.
You can't get rid of that. Simple as that, okay? But I've never, ever, in 40-odd years of doing this, never known a ghost to jump out from behind a door wearing a white sheet and say boo. Ever. Period. If a ghost had a job, like I say, it wouldn't be there to scare people. Simple as that. They're just reliving or continuing to do what they set out to do when they were living. Look at that Roman garrison, okay? They didn't pay any bit of attention apart from continuing to march through where they were going from A to B. Simple as that. That's all they were doing. I've seen a couple of apparitions. They would just seem to be curious about what we were doing on investigations. Was I scared? Yeah. 100%. Pooped oneself, several times and ran. But at the end of the day, they were just wondering what I was doing, where they were living. That's what they were doing.
Why are you poking around? Yeah.
What are you doing? Here's my house. You know what I mean?
That's it, yeah.
We used to have a spirit in our old house, me and my wife and I. Did it cause us any bother? No. They just carried on living in their house. I wish I'd have paid rent. Call me old-fashioned, nice. Cost of living, and so on and so on. They didn't, but hey, they kept themselves to themselves. We kept ourselves to ourselves, and it was fine.
No, I do agree, though. I think it's maybe a lot more due to to movies and TV shows and stuff now, but
Nail on the head.
a lot of people's perceptions of ghosts are always automatically negative and automatically thinking that they're going to do something wrong and try harm you or something. But one question I did have, because I feel like there's a bit of a difference between these two, and I'm not sure if you believe in this side of things, but obviously a lot of people claim to have seen ghosts and like, as you said, like leftover energy in certain areas, but then there's a lot of people that also relate it to religion in some ways and kind of bring like the demonic side of things into it, and especially that's like really portrayed in films, like it's some kind of demonic possession. I mean, obviously you said you've not had any really negative experiences, but have you ever felt like there might be something to that, like there might be some truth to people saying that?
Right, demonic possession. Throw those words in the bin. Okay. The word demon, throw that in the bin as well. I'm not discounting it, don't get me wrong, okay? And I'm 100% respectful of everybody's views, okay? Don't get me wrong, all right? One thing I would say is that where there's good, there's bad. Such as in life. There's people in prison for reasons at the end of the day, you know, they've done bad. Now, they'll take that with them when they pass. You know, that's their sin, that's what they've done, you know, at the end of the day. Whether there's evidence of demonic possession, demons and so on, whether it's all media related or not to sell a film, a story or whatever, I don't know. I don't want to speculate either. Okay. I'll tell you what I do know is that, yeah, we've had some, I'm going to call it negative results on investigations where something just does not sit right at the time. We investigated a place over Todmorden, West Yorkshire, an old church. It's a Unitarian church, so it's not, there's no priest, reverend or father on site or anything like that. It's owned by a fantastic voluntary group. We went there the first time and we had family members with us who went down to the cellar area of the church. They came back up 5 minutes later, calling and shouting out my name. They came over and they had scratches on their arms, physical scratches on their arms. They didn't catch it on a wall down there. They didn't catch it on anything at all. But they had 3 distinct scratches, 2 or 3 different people on their arms. Now, the family members, I know them. They're not here to make things up at the end of the day. You know, they're there with us. And we had a lot of things through the night that happened in threes. We had 3 massive loud bangs up in the bell tower. Nobody up there. My wife moved a massive table to use our Ouija board on the night. When she moved the table, the smell of sulphur that came up from the grate underneath was overwhelming. But there was nothing in the grate. There was nothing there to cause the smell. Now, all of these, after I did a bit of reading up afterwards, are signs of a demon being present on the night.
Right.
Do I believe in demons? No. There you go. Do I believe in what happened in Todmorden Church? God, 100%, yeah, because I was there. You know, and I'm not here to sell a story because at the end of the day, you've said at the very start, we do all our work and we give all our money away to charity.
Yeah.
So I'm not here for financial gain. No. Full stop. You know, take it or leave what I've just said, but I was there and I saw what happened.
Yeah, that is really creepy, especially the scratches that had.
That's and with it being trusted people, if it was people that perhaps you didn't know too well or something, then there's a chance that they could have done it to themselves or this, that, and the other. But with it being people that you know very well, family even, that's almost unexplainable. And what is there with situations like that? Do you ever try and bring logic into it? I'm sure you've racked your brains multiple ways to try and figure out what could have done it, how it could have happened.
Yeah. We went back there a second time, same place. And we've got a photograph on our website, which I'm sure we can mention later on. Photograph on our website taken by one of our guests now. I say guest, it's somebody who we've known for many years. And she was up in the graveyard doing a bit of an outside vigil, seeing what was going on. We always ask guests to take pictures, if they're going to take pictures, in sets of 3, so that we can see if there's any anomalies on all the pictures, either side of, so we can see, well, hang on, that wasn't there then, it wasn't there afterwards, or it was there, and so on and so on and so on. Anyway, with what looked like a mist on the photograph, if you zoom in, which is what we did, photographs on our website, I can see a head, a long neck, and upper torso. That's what I can see. Now, we went up there. The weather was clear in the night. Looking at how to try and debug things and look at a logical explanation. I went up there. It was dry. There was no moisture on the ground. So I was thinking, right, okay, so that's the fog mist element out of the equation. Can't mention that at all. Any reflective surfaces? No. It was in a graveyard. There's gravestones. So it wasn't picking up a reflection of anybody stood behind her. Could it have been her vaping or smoking? No, she didn't smoke or vape. And nobody in the group did either. All these logical explanations I looked at before I then put it onto social media in a lot of paranormal groups, 50, 60 odd thousand members per group. And they all saw the same as me. Somebody may say, oh, it's what's called pareidolia. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I've not.
I've heard of the term. But
Pareidolia. You look up in the sky, look at clouds, okay? And you might see a dragon.
Ah, right, yeah.
Or a sheep. In your mind, that's what you're seeing. Somebody standing next to you, what the bloody hell are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Pareidolia. Yeah?
Yeah.
You go into a haunted house expecting to be scared, you'll get scared. Every creak, bang, knock, drop of a coin, anything at all, it's going to be paranormal. You know what I mean? It's pareidolia, okay? It's because your brain is wanting to see. Your brain is wanting to see what you want to see. You know what I mean? But yeah, not pareidolia. Not when 50 odd thousand people say they're saying the same thing as you. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Did that just answer that question?
It did. It did very well. Yeah, it did. Yeah. So those situations themselves are just what? How do you like? What justification do you give yourself in your head for those situations?
Right.
Do you class it like predominantly as paranormal?
Again, on our website, okay, www.veritasparanormaluk.com.
We'll link it in the description as well.
Brilliant. Like I say, I'll be 52 this year. I know I don't look it, thank you. My first experience, 7 years old. So what's that? 40 odd years of doing this. Our website, I think I've got 2 photographs on there. That's it. They're the only 2 photographs that I have been unable to logically explain away with anything else that could be what's on there.
That's very interesting. I like that. There's 2 images.
We will always try and look at a logical explanation. Simple as that. We had a great one. We went to went to Leeds Library, the old one on Commercial Street, not the new council. Went to the old one. And there's like a mezzanine area, for those who know it, which kind of goes up a level. And we had a CCTV camera, mobile CCTV camera up on that level. There was me, my wife, my brother-in-law there on the night. We're doing a charity night there again. We'd ask guests to tune in and watch us live, which they did. One guest said, there's some weird lighting going on in the mezzanine. What's going on there? And it was like a string of lights or something that they could see, which was moving. I thought, what the hell is this? Michael, go and have a look up there. I wasn't going up, to hell with that. Michael, go and have a look up there. So he went up. Michael had a look. Couldn't see anything at all. I thought, right, okay, fair enough. We'll go and have a look together. So we went up there. And it turned out there was a cobweb on the CCTV lens, which how close it was with the lights behind. It looked like there was something waving about, and you know what I mean? Weird. But I was at the point of saying, yeah, can't explain that. Yeah, that's a good one. No.
Yeah.
Went up, checked the equipment, checked what was going on. Logical explanation. Annoyingly, but yeah, logical explanation.
Has there ever been a time you've been on an investigation? And because I always think this in my head, I'm like, oh, if I saw something like that or really thought that there was something going on in this building, I'd just leave. I'd just be like, no, I'm not doing this. I've got to go. Like, it's game over for me. I'm off home. I'm off to make a cup of tea and go to sleep.
Yeah. More than once. No. Again, me and my wife, during COVID times, this was, we had permission to go to, there's a place in Pontefract called 30 East Drive. I don't know if you've heard of it or not.
I've heard of it. It's got a Facebook group and all sorts of things around it.
Going on.
Yeah.
Right.
I won't go into the full details, apart from the fact there was a family who lived there in the 1970s. They experienced poltergeist activity in the house, which actually turned into physical injuries to the family. hands around necks, getting dragged. So, all sorts went on. The family left terrified. Well documented. True or not? Again, I don't know. I'm not speculating. I wasn't there at the time. I don't know, But there was a movie came out in 2012. And the producer of the film ended up buying the house itself. And he rents out the house to investigative groups to go and have a look and see what we can churn up, which is brilliant. Anyway, me and my wife were there during COVID. Me and her and the dog. I had a device which I've brought with me here today, which spirits can come forward and manipulate words in a dictionary built into this device. Okay. It's got a dictionary of about 2,000 words, and the energy in the air, I've mentioned energy already, the energy in the atmosphere, spirits can manipulate it and choose a word to speak to you with, way of communicating. It's just one of the various bits of kit that we use. Anyway, it's alleged that this house is haunted by the Black Monk of Pontefract. I personally have never experienced the Black Monk of Pontefract there myself. However, it came through on the box shelf. I thought, weird. Sometimes the words that come through in this device are complete madness. It's bonkers, and you can't trust it. There's no proven paranormal piece of equipment. Yeah. None. If there was, make her be a millionaire. Yeah. Okay. There's no proven piece of paranormal equipment that will definitely 100% work. So you got to take everything with a pinch of salt. We use some kit alongside other bits of kit to try and corroborate with what we're finding. Anyway, I digress. It came up with the word shelf. I thought, okay, fine. There's a shelf there. There's a shelf there. It could be anywhere. Then it came up with statue. Weird. I continued to call out for any spirits present. Please come forward. Use this device to speak to me, And then it came up monk. I thought, okay. Sometimes the words that come up, you just got to dismiss it and just carry on with life as normal. You know what I mean? But it came up with shelf, statue, monk. I thought, okay, fine. After about 5 minutes, I turned the lights on, and there is a shelf by the fireplace with a porcelain monk. I'd never seen it before. I promise I'd never seen it before. That to come up. What?
Yes. Yeah.
To turn the lights back out again. My wife's in the kitchen and says, we're going to continue with this. So we carried on going. We were meant to be staying there all night. Looking forward to it. Live stream. We had a lot of people coming online. Then I came up with the words death, evil, which it came up with a different voice, which I'd never heard before. At that stage, the lights back on again. Darling, we're packing up and we're going home. We're leaving now. Thank you for tuning in to us. Bye.
Yeah, that would be enough to drive me out as well. Would you say that was like your maybe spookiest or scariest experience on an investigation?
It's certainly up there, to be honest. That and the investigation at the church, which that was several different findings throughout the period of the whole night. Not just one thing that happened. I think there was about 3 or 4 or 5 different things that went on where we had to, ultimately, at the church, we set up the Ouija board, which we don't just get the Ouija boards out the boxes. They're cleansed. They get an opening prayer, closing prayer. We use them respectfully. What we're doing on all of our investigations, we do it 100% respectfully. Because at the end of the day, my dad could come through and say hello. Somebody's relative could come through. And spirits are not performing circus artists at the end of the day. They're people's relatives. Whether it's my relative or whether it's somebody else's relative, I will treat them with respect. And if they don't want to come through, they don't want to come through. Simple as that. We're not going to force the issue. I'm not going to stand there and demand Brian or whoever to come forward and speak to me. Otherwise, you shall feel my wrath. It's not going to happen. Anyway, we had the Ouija board set up and we had other signs going on the Ouija board. I won't go into details, but it came to the point where I had to shut things down about an hour and a half early on the night, and we left. Not just for my own safety, but for guest safety as well. With what was going on with the physical scratches, with the smells, with the bangs, with everything at all, I thought this does not fit right with something that's nice here trying to come to and say hello. There's something bad here that doesn't want us here.
So would you agree? That
so yeah, we're off.
There's predominantly, there is definitely good energy and the bad side of energy as well.
I've seen it. Yeah,
That's very interesting.
One thing you mentioned there a few times is these pieces of equipment that you've actually brought with you today. So thank you so much for bringing them as well. But I think it's really nice to see that you really do try like use a few different methods of verification. And of course, you don't, as you said, you don't just believe any bang is a ghost and that's it. But would you maybe be able to dive into those pieces of equipment a little bit and just explain what they are and how they work?
Yeah, I've mentioned energy already.
Feel free to turn them on.
Is this where this is going to alert us that there's something in the room
Right.
now?
I've mentioned energy already. Okay,
Yeah.
we've got quite a few different devices that pick up energy of all kinds. All right. This is what's called a REM pod. Okay, I'll be testing you on all these names later on. This is what's called a REM pod. It picks up energy in the atmosphere. Any energy that goes anywhere near to the aerial.
Ah, right.
Nearer to the aerial.
Okay, yeah.
So you sit that down somewhere, whichever location that you're at. Sit it down wherever you want to, and it'll give you an audible and visual notification if it picks anything up. All these bits of equipment here, your phone, that laptop, these lights here, the cameras and all sorts and so on. With this REM pod here, it takes that energy into account, so it'll baseline itself. Okay, so all of this now can be discounted straight away. Anything that gets near to the aerial will set it off. Now, that's something that I can't explain. And I put a brand new battery in that this morning. So if anything happens...
I was just about to say, I'm very on edge right now that this is going to start making a noise.
to this room.
There's one.
We're going to be booting the cameras over, throwing lights around.
So I'll leave that there for now, okay?
Yes, yeah.
This is the device that I mentioned at East Drive.
No. I actually don't like that. That is creepy. That is... Okay.
I have nothing further to add.
No, right. I'm lost for words on that right now because I'm slightly terrified. But let's get into the... what was this device called?
This is called an Ovilus 5.
Ovilus 5.
Okay? It's the Speaky Dictionary thingy device that a lot of guests just refer to it as, which is fine. Where's camera? I don't know if you want to... Okay.
I mean, there's one there. You will be able to zoom in from that one anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see it's got... That's the home screen. It's got 9 different apps on it, okay? The main one that we use is the dictionary app up there. And those 2 aerials there, it's picking up energy in the atmosphere, okay? Now, it's going to come out with just random words because it's going to pick up a lot of energy. Whether it's anything relevant to yourselves, I can hear it speaking now. What's it saying now?
Am I all right to hold this?
You fire
so
away.
We can show it into this one here.
It'll come out with completely random words. However, sometimes the words might be relevant to you or where we are or its surroundings. And that's what you have to watch out for. Because it's going to pick up energy from all sorts.
Scared and doubt as soon as I pick it up.
Really?
Yeah.
Anything else coming up?
Sure. Out. Some. Here we go.
Random.
Again, we call out to spirits a lot and we use this device, okay? And sometimes it'll just come up with random words. Back to that church again. My sister-in-law, Debbie, she had the Ovilus with her. She was calling out. Random words were coming up, and then it started coming out with pew, altar, church. Then you kind of think, well, hang on, this is making sense now. We might have a connection with something, or we might not, but it's relevant to where we are. Now, how that device knows where it is, I don't know. I'm 51. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of what happens inside it. It's not connected to the internet. It's not got GPS with it either. Okay. I mean, the dictionary part of it, that's just one of the other 9 different apps. It's got a motion sensor built in there as well, which have put that up on the top of a hill, at Pendle Hill, where the witch trials were. Took that with us up there. The nearest road was a good half mile away. We put it on a rock. We were calling out to spirits on Pendle Hill to come forward. And on the motion sensor, we were getting 2 little taps for yes and 1 little tap for no. On command, when we're asking questions for any spirits there present on the hill. Whether it was geological or not, trying to explain it away, whether it was the ground or anything, I don't know. But when we asked a question, pretty much straight away. In fact, straight away, it was coming up with a 2-tap thing on the line. Oh no.
I think it's when there's cooperation, when things correlate with one another that just can't be explained is when you start to get into the realms of, okay.
I'll be honest, on our investigations, and we've done loads, 99% of what happens on the night on an investigation can easily be explained away. Probably 99.5, 99.9. Yeah. It's that little small 1.1 percentage, whatever you want to call it, where not only we but our guests go home with more questions than what we have answers for.
And would you say it's that 0.1% that keeps you doing what you're doing?
Oh, yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's it.
I think a massive positive around what you do as well, we've touched on it a few times but not really delved into it. Obviously, a lot of the investigations have raised massive amounts for charity. So I know that you've raised at least £5,000, over £5,000 at this point.
We're actually just short of £10,000 raised now over the course of 2 years. We've had to rein things back a little bit. Cost of living crisis going on at the moment. We get wholeheartedly that a lot of people cannot afford to come on events. The reason that we charge, or we ask people to pay a ticket fee, is a lot of locations need a location fee. East Drive, for example, okay? No, I won't use East Drive. Let's use somewhere else. A lot of locations need to supply a staff member where they need to be there for security, to lock up, to open up for you. You're using the lights in the house. That's going to, costings and so on and so on. So there is, a lot of the time, a fee which we have to pay.
It's essentially for the overheads. Yeah.
Which we incorporate that into the ticket price. Anything left over with the ticket price, 100% of that gets donated to a local or national charity. All of our certificates, again, are on our website, okay? Because some people can doubt what we do at the end of the day. So to be as open and honest with as many people as possible, but with everyone, all of our letters and certificates of thanks are on our website. And I'm also deeply proud of what we've done. Yeah. Not just me, our guests who have come along. What's that saying now?
Work.
That's weird. That is strange. I'm going to hold this up here. That literally just said work. I don't know if you've ever said yeah, that's creepy. But no, honestly, it is fantastic what you've done. And I think as well, to be doing it around something that you're passionate about while making money for charity is just like, it's a massive win-win, 100%. Like, have you got any more events planned this year? Have you got some in the books? Or?
Yeah, one I'm really trying to plug in. It's going to be our last big, massive event, if not for this year, probably next year as well, at Armley Mills.
Okay, yes.
Armley Mills in Leeds. We would love people to come along. Tickets are available on our website at the moment. We're doing kind of a multiple investigative thing that's going on there. We've got somebody by the name of Denise who's coming in to join us on the night. Now, she does what's called past life regression. You ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
A lot of children experience what's called past life regression, where they might think of, or they might just come out with something completely random, who they were before they were.
I have heard situations like this.
Yeah. Denise, she is a leading expert in this field. I say leading expert. I don't know how she becomes a leading expert, but she's really good at getting people into the right channel, the right area to go through a past life regression experience. Not everyone lived before. A lot of people did. I don't know how it works. But Denise will take half the group on the night to do a past life regression, while we, with the other half of the group, we're going to do a full-on investigation of Armley Mills. That's all 4-5 floors from top to bottom. We've got all of our equipment, not just this. We've got old-style equipment that we use. We've got the new equipment. We've got the cameras. We've got the handheld cameras that have been seen on TV programs. And we use all of those, thermal imaging, and so on and so on and so on. But yeah, Armley Mills, I'm deeply looking forward to it. Tickets up £40. That's it. I say £40, that's it. That includes your hot drinks, your snacks, your tea, your coffee, and 5 hours of ghost hunting. Yeah.
You know, it's certainly good value. You pay more money per hour if you go to like the cinema or something.
And we'll be donating, I think it's about £500, £600 to a local charity, which we haven't decided what yet. So if anyone wants to comment on who maybe that we can donate to, honestly, I'm all ears.
Yeah, and again, we'll put a link in the description to this, to the website, so if people are interested, they can grab a ticket or even just look into what you do, because it honestly is really interesting. So another one from me, being from Leeds, you've investigated at Leeds Museum as well.
Yes, we have.
That must have been a really cool experience. I'm sure you'd like walked past there many times, gone in and around it. What was it like how did that come about? How were you invited there and how did that happen?
Well, I was hoping that they would have had the Stone of Ragnarok, whatever it was called, from the film, and everything came to life, at night. Didn't happen. Wounded. Severely wounded. I know. Gutted. No, that was fantastic. And a huge thank you for Leeds Museum opening the doors to allow us to go in there as well. So much history, no pun intended at all, on every single floor, and to not only learn stuff on the night of investigating from all the old parts of Leeds. I'm not from Leeds myself. I met my wife back in 2009, moved down here. I love Leeds incredibly. Anyway, Leeds Museum, fantastic, loved it. Again, what we do, we have to do it respectfully. Mm-hmm. There is an Egyptian part of the museum up at the top floor where there are mummified remains. We didn't do any investigating up there whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It didn't seem appropriate to do it. Mm-hmm. Full stop. Mm-hmm. We went up there to experience what it was like in there, but we didn't do any calling out. We didn't set up any equipment up there, left well alone. Again, that is somebody who's passed away. Mm-hmm. Of course. Whoever they are, however old they are, left it at that. Yeah. Everywhere else, we had so much space, but we only take along small groups on our investigations, so we had so much room all over the place. Brilliant, loved it.
Yeah, I'd love to do something in like Leeds Museum. And a building as old as that with so much history in Leeds.
You two need to come along to Arley Mills.
Yeah, I was
That's
literally
I was going to say the same
afterwards.
It's
It's just up the road from us.
And bringing your cameras along as well.
Yeah, that would be a good shout, actually.
Yeah,
we could bring a camera each and record the experience. I would fully... What date is it? Do you know?
September the something.
Oh, right, yeah, that's...
On our website.
There you go. We'll check it out. Yeah, which will be down below again. So one thing I wanted to get into with you being in the field of ghost hunting and such is your opinion on. I know you've touched that you've known some people that worked on shows like Most Haunted and stuff like that. And I think my question more so, the best person I can think that would fit the bill is a man named Derek Acorah, who I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Yep.
What are your opinions on him and as respectful as possible in terms of perceived sensationalism? A lot of people tend to say that people like that, mediums and such, go above and beyond and over-exaggerate things.
Okay, firstly, before I answer that question, I'm going to say that I'm not open to suing. I have no money whatsoever. If anybody wants to sue anybody, is these two fine gentlemen here. Anyway, I know Gwen through my niece, Gwen Acorah.
Oh, right. Oh, no.
I'm not.
Okay.
That's energy near the aerial. I'm going to turn this off for now.
As soon as you mention Acorah as well.
That is creepy.
And for anybody unaware, unfortunately, Derek Acorah has passed.
Yeah.
So this is... Yeah.
Anyway, I know Gwen through my niece. Spoke to Gwen several times. I never met Derek, but I did have Derek lined up to join us on one of our investigations, and I respect the man no end. I really do, 100%. Look, I've got a day job. You guys probably have day jobs as well, all right? My day job is what keeps the roof over my head at the end of the day. Now, if I'm asked to do something at work, I'll do it because it's my job, because I get paid for it. Simple as that. It comes to the point where you're getting asked to do things where aren't necessarily in your contract.
I see. Yes.
In my day job. I'm not referring to anything else.
No. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, how uncomfortable that would make me feel, it probably would make me feel really uncomfortable, and I would probably consider leaving my current employment. Simple as that. Going back to Derek, I 100% respect him. Like I say, I never met him. I do know somebody, a friend of ours, Phil Wyman, who used to work on Most Haunted. Phil worked alongside Derek on a number of episodes. and he was absolutely amazing at his job. Once he was tuned in, he knew what he was doing. He really did.
I feel like you could tell there was certain. I mean, I only really watched Most Haunted when I was much younger than I am now, so my memories are somewhat faded. But there was always a certain feeling whenever Derek was on screen that it was more than just him putting on an act. It genuinely felt like he was some of the faces and some of the voices and just the amount of, you'd have to be unbelievably committed to the act to a level that seems inhuman to be able to like put yourself forwards as he did.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, and 100% right. When he was tuned in, he knew what he was doing. He knew, he was a damn good medium. I can't say anything else.
Yeah,
I think that's a great opinion to have on the man, and that's a fantastic answer to the question.
One interesting one for me, obviously we've spoke about a lot of the ones in Leeds, there's like Leeds Museum. I know a lot of people see like Kurt's Abbey as a haunted destination and stuff as well, just maybe because of its age. But is there any like dream investigation areas that you'd like to go to in the UK? Because there's a lot of places in the UK that are meant to be like...
Yeah, I'd love to do a lot more in Scotland. We went up to Scotland last year for like a whole weekend investigation. We did Inverary Jail. We went up to Glencoe, the massacre of Glencoe. Went up there as well. There's a lot of battlefields further north by Inverness, Culloden, for example. I'd love to spend a lot more time in the vaults area of Edinburgh, the underground streets of Edinburgh. Again, I haven't been there yet. I lived in Scotland for 15 years. I love Scotland. I love the scenery and everything about it. I'd love to go up there. The only problem is with having a day job is that if you do anything in Scotland, that's the whole weekend gone.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, who host our events, we have a social life as well. And I'd love to do an event every weekend, but we just can't.
Yeah.
On
the Edinburgh one, actually, I went up to Edinburgh for the first ever time about 6 months ago. I just went up there because I'd never been and I thought it'd be really cool. And I did one of the like ghost experiences walks in the vaults, and that was really creepy. Like just the aura down there didn't feel quite right. I don't know if it's because like it was in the summer as well, so it was really warm outside. Then you went into this underground area and it was really cold and a bit damp. And the person running the tour was telling stories of how there used to be I think it was like a flat that was attached next door, and they started hearing scratching on the wall and stuff, and they didn't know that area of the vaults even existed. Like they didn't know that was there, so they started hearing scratches on the walls and stuff. And then when they tore the wall down, it turns out that there was like a whole set of vaults that were unknown there.
You've just mentioned a good point there, to be honest. People sometimes ask me, are you a medium? No, I'm not. I'm 2XL at least, if not 3. No. Sorry. We carry on. We carry on. The fact that you felt uneasy there, okay, we all have that sixth sense, whether we like it or not. You don't have to be a medium to know when you're in a room with the lights out, when there's somebody looking at you. We all have that feeling. We all have that sensation where you know you're being looked at. You know there's something not quite right. You walk into 30 East Drive. It is a semi-detached house. Looking from the outside, it is a semi-detached house. Nothing else. But there's something about the house. I don't know if it's just me or not. You go inside, and it's the most unwelcoming atmosphere that you've ever experienced in your life, ever.
Yeah, you can just feel it in the room.
It just does not feel right at all.
Almost feels as if it doesn't want you in there.
100%. Now it's a house. When I came into this house here, I felt very welcome. Coffee aside, I felt very welcome. I really did, No, but seriously, I mean, you walk into any house and you don't expect to feel like you shouldn't be there, no matter where you are.
Correct. Yeah. So for to walk into a house to then get that feeling,
yeah,
something's not quite right.
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of interrupted there as well. Was there any other destinations in the UK? Obviously, you mentioned Scotland.
Sorry. I'd love to do London. However, with our charitable donations that we do, a lot of the location fees, understandably so, are a lot higher in London and the London home areas, home districts, home counties. So trying to find a suitable location down there. I'd love to do Chatham Docks, the Navy Docks. There's a lot of naval ships and submarines still down there as well. I'd love to do down there. I'd love to do the Tower of London.
Ooh,
That'd be a fantastic one.
That would be great.
I bet the location fee would be about £2 million.
So I have a crowdfunding page on our website. No, I don't. No.
One that I've done that was particularly interesting, Alton Towers.
I've heard about that.
Yeah. So I went on it wasn't really a ghost walk, so to speak. It was more of a guided tour, a spooky guided tour, I suppose, is the way that I'd phrase it. But even being in there, I wasn't sure whether it was the building itself or just, it's an old building. So naturally, I don't know if my mindset going into a place like that was already, right, something weird's going to happen here. And as you go through it, you do kind of
That's the pareidolia thing, perhaps?
That's it, yes, yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And then there's also the part of the... like our lizard brain that always wants to find faces in things.
Yep.
I feel like that's a big part of it as well. Yep. So you walk around these places and there's a corner that's a bit dark and there's two specks and you're like, is that some eyes over there? And just things like that in general. But I'd say in terms of paranormal experiences for myself, I haven't really had anything that's unexplained in the same way that you two have had experiences like that. But to say that I'm completely closed off from that is unfair, because I do like to believe that there is some extra energy going on, because like you say, it's the dispersion of energy after somebody passes. Where does that energy go?
Exactly.
So this stone tape theory was very interesting to me as well. That's kind of started a few cogs ticking in my head now, so I might follow that trail up. But yeah, I just wanted to add in that my opinion on paranormal activity as a whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Right, well, I've got one more question, and it's not actually related to Ghost, this one. We're both sat here in Leeds shirts, and we're both about to go watch the game. So I wanted your prediction for the game, so when we listen back to this at the end, we can laugh at each other.
Right.
Because this will come out probably in a couple of days. So
right. It will be the most Leeds United thing ever. It will be 2-1, and we'll score the winner in the 93rd minute.
Wow. Okay. I hope that's what happens. I'm saying 3-1 to Everton.
To Everton?
Yeah.
He's such a pest. He bets against Leeds. So
yeah, no.
You can't trust this man.
That's smart from me, though. If I bet against Leeds, if we win, I win anyway. Because
Is that glass half full or half empty?
Right.
If we win, I'm happy and I win. And I only bet £1 or £2 anyway. If we lose, I win money. So at least I get some kind of joy.
He's having to backpedal here because I've thrown that out there.
That's the wrongest thing ever. It really is.
All right, no, but seriously, thank you so much, Rob, for joining us.
Thanks, John.
The website is
www.Veritas Paranormal UK. You can do a Google search for Veritas Paranormal UK and it should come up top.
Yeah, lovely stuff. So anyone that's interested, go check out tickets and also donate to the charity.
Join us on any of our events, and we donate from the events, from the tickets that we sell. Okay, but the main one coming up in September, Armley Mills, we would love to see you there.
And we'll probably be there ourselves. So yeah, we'll see you there as well.
Thank you very much for coming on, Rob.
Thank you.